Hi, Tom.
Hi, JC.
Missed you last week, buddy.
Yeah, it's been bye week, I guess you could say it was.
It was our bye week.
And yeah, because we had other things that we had to take care of, and wrestling isn't entirely our lives, although it may seem so.
I say I missed you like I didn't see you every day.
Yeah, we spent more time probably together during the week that we didn't have a podcast than we did weeks that we do. So
very true. But that gives us a lot of wrestling. Yeah, that gives us a lot of wrestling to catch up on, Tom.
Absolutely. We had a pay-per-view, which is, again, terminology. We had a large named wrestling event.
Yes.
I guess that's what they are now.
We had a Raw, we had a SmackDown. A lot of fun stuff. Mainly the pay-per-view. That's the big stuff we have to cover tonight. Yeah,
and there were some events on those free television shows as well. So, yeah, there's a decent amount to talk about.
There was the Anti-Festival of Friendship that we'll talk about.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about there.
Saddest moment in WWE history.
Yeah, we'll discuss that.
We'll get there. But we'll cover all that on this week's Cheaters Never Pin. Hello, Internet. This is the Cheaters Never Pin podcast.
And this is where the theme song would go if we had one, probably.
Yeah. We'll get there. It's still early, Tom.
There.
There we go. Cheaters Never Pin.
Anyway. What my 8-year-old does when there's an awkward pause. So
yeah. Thanks for joining us here. You can follow us on Twitter at Cheaters Never Pin, Cheaters in VR Pin. Give us a like on Facebook, facebook.com/Cheaters Never Pin. Follow us on YouTube at Cheaters Never Pin. Give us a rate, review, and subscribe on the iTunes. You can, of course, find us and download us there on Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and then also stream us on our Spreaker site. So do all those things.
There are so many methods.
Literally do one on every one each week for me, please.
There is no excuse for you not to listen. Although, if you're hearing me say that, you're listening now. So thank you.
Thank you. But anyway, let's just start, because Elimination Chamber was on. The all-new Elimination Chamber was on Sunday, Tom.
It was square.
I know. And I'd like to thank Tom for covering the Twitter there while I was asleep, because I had to be at work at 3 in the morning the next day. So I watched this pay-per-view at 4 in the morning on Monday.
Which is, a thing that can happen. So why not?
Yeah. It was a good show. I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it less than you, but it was fine. It had its moments, and it kind of exposed a lacking bit of roster that SmackDown does have when it has to pull together a full show.
Yeah, that was the biggest issue, which is why you end up with 3 women's single matches on a pay-per-view, none of which were bad. I'm not complaining.
And this is not to criticize the SmackDown's women's division by any means, or women's wrestling in general. It's just the fact that your entire division is, covering half of the card. So,
but at least their whole division, unlike the Raw division, has some kind of storyline or feud going on.
Yeah, that's in complete contrast to the SmackDown Tag division, which makes me extremely sad whenever I think of it. That just frustrates me, and
we'll get there.
You have okay. We'll get there. You're right. We'll get there. Yeah. Let's go in order. You gave me a sheet to follow.
Yeah, let's not bury the lead. There's a new WWE champion, and his name's Bray Wyatt.
His name is Wyndham Rotunda. I love that name. I'm sorry.
Good.
I mean, to be part of a successful tag team and to name, I guess he was the first kid, to name your first kid after your tag team partner's fictional last name.
Yeah, I think he and Bo are the 2 older children, and then Mika, the daughter, is the youngest, I believe.
Yeah.
But yeah, he won the Elimination Chamber match, pinning AJ Styles to win.
Pinning AJ Styles cleanly, and also pinning John Cena cleanly, and what was, for lack of a better term, it was the right way to do it. It got over Bray Wyatt as in contrast to the last 2.5 years or so of booking, it got him over as a credible threat. Sister Abigail was a finisher that actually finished the match, and it got him over strong. It wasn't the Wyatt family interfering. It wasn't some schmoz of some variety. It was Bray Wyatt being the better wrestler.
Yeah, and
that awesome.
It's the first time we've seen that in 2.5 years since he came off the feud against Cena.
And somebody had brought it up too, that on Talking Smack, I guess it was the week before or something like that, Cena made a point to mention the fact that it was him and Styles that were the top, and everybody else wasn't at that level. And then to turn around and to have Wyatt go into that match and beat both of them to basically say, not only am I the champion, but I deserve to be at this level. If anything, I'm above your level now because I beat both of you.
Yeah. It's a really good... I thought it was a good chamber match, too.
It told a strong story. I mean, it kept everybody in character, and it's one of the things that bothers me sometimes about the chamber is that sometimes people get out of character or do things that they wouldn't necessarily do, and it gets kind of awkward. But like, Miz was still the cowardly heel, which he was supposed to be. I mean, staying kind of in his chamber until there was an opportunity for him to make a pin, and then he runs out and makes the pin on Ambrose. It was Ambrose, I think, that he actually pinned because
yeah, that was
Ambrose,
after Corbin
Ambrose
threw him through
pinned
the pod.
Corbin. Yeah, and then Corbin destroyed Ambrose, which beautifully set up that for future feud in its own. So you developed feuds, you maintained the plot lines that were still going on with how Miz was going, and you established a new champion in Wyatt. I mean, you can't ask for much more than that.
No one came out of that match looking weak, looking bad. It got all 6 of them over. It was done correctly, which it was why it may be one of my favorite chamber matches of all time, because it worked effectively to do what it was supposed to do.
It pissed me off at first to see Corbin eliminated so quickly, because I was looking, I mean, especially after his Royal Rumble performance, I wanted to see him be established as the strong competitor to potentially, be in the title, hunt. And to see him eliminated that quickly pissed me off. But then to see what he ended up doing to Ambrose, and I've never been a huge fan of the I lost, I'll take it out on you type thing. But to have him do what he did with Ambrose, it really established the friction between the two of them. It got Ambrose out of the match as well. It was done extremely well, I thought.
Yeah, I also really liked the new chamber itself. I think it looks better on TV, or than the old one did. I like the fact that the pods are a little bit smaller. I like the square shape. I love the top down view of it too. For right before an entrance, I like having the larger gap above the pods and the ceiling, so it's a little bit easier to pull spots off there. So I think that was a success too.
Yeah, and I think probably from a financial standpoint or whatever, it continues to allow them to have proper ringside seating. When you throw that round thing, now I don't know about the symmetrics of how like the chamber went and how much bigger say one is compared to the other, but it seemed to be more along the size of, say, Hell in a Cell, so you're not going that much further out from the ring, so you don't need to push ringside that much further back, so you can still get that many more floor seats there, so you can sell extra floor seating and make a few extra bucks that way. Yeah. So it's probably better for WWE in the long run to go with something more efficient like this than that big old monstrosity that they had before. Plus, I think there were a few complaints technically about it, but whatever, about the area on the outside of the ring being more, I guess, for lack of a better term, safer, because they were kind of, I don't know if they were technically padded, but I mean, they're just kind of more of a solid thing than that kind of grated metal or whatever it was beforehand.
It was probably very similar to the mat itself kind of structure. It looked like it was probably plywood with some kind of marley or mat over it.
Yeah, so I mean, it's solid, and I don't know. I don't know if it's easier even to break down or whatever. Again, I'm not a ring technician nor a mechanical engineer, so I don't know how these things work. But
yeah, I know a lot of their issues with the older design, and the reason we hadn't seen as many Elimination Chamber matches and seen it as a consistent pay-per-view for a few years were due to the size of the structure and the way it's built. Rigging it in most arenas now in the age of the giant video board had become quite difficult. So this may alleviate some of those issues.
Yeah, I mean, that's you got to figure it's got to be aesthetics for them. I mean, it's a cool gimmick, so it's something that they probably didn't want to necessarily get rid of. But I mean, it's something that you could only do for certain arenas. Didn't necessarily work in other. I remember, God, I don't know how many years ago they had to truck that thing down to Puerto Rico for whatever show that was, and I can't imagine the inconvenience of doing that. But yeah, it's now that it's done, it's gonna get stored in that warehouse that WWE keeps all their other stuff like that in, that right. I guess gets noticed in the Edge and Christian show and that type of thing. But yeah, I mean, it looked fine. It's not going to have like super bells and whistles. It's not the Tower of Doom. It's not going to have like weird chainsaws hanging from it or anything. It's not supposed to. It looked fine. It looked good. And it worked outside of the weird shot into the apparent plexiglass or plastic or whatever it was, where Ambrose went through that piece of plastic or whatever and just kind of knocked it out. And
well, that's a mandatory Elimination Chamber spot.
Yeah, but
somebody's got to go through the bulletproof Lexan, Tom.
But you want it to, well, I guess technically if it breaks, then you have the opportunity to cut, and we don't do cuts in WWE anymore, so I guess it's better that way.
Yeah. But yes, we had that match. Good match. New champ. New champ ends up defending in a triple threat on SmackDown Tuesday night against Cena and Styles. Retains yet again. Or I guess retains for the first time, I should say.
Beat Cena.
Yeah.
Clean. Again.
Which was awesome. And then into this, match ends. Orton comes out. You think we're going to have the stare down. Orton takes the mic, says, you know what? I've pledged my life to you, and I can't fight you at WrestleMania. So now we're going to have a battle royal for the new number one contender next week on SmackDown. Which raises the question in my head, why the fuck does the Royal Rumble even exist? I mean, obviously there's an angle here, and it's still going to happen. But at the time, Tuesday night, I was like, are you freaking kidding me?
The man pointed to the sign. That's a binding contract.
That's actually right. Once you point to the sign, there's no getting out of Mania.
You can't unpoint. That's just... Lawyers are going to be all over that. But,
so yeah, what's the end game? Because, I mean, I would assume Orton is still going to main event WrestleMania. Or, whatever that may mean, main event WrestleMania. But
so
what's happening here?
The thing that I saw, or the rumor that I had, and I don't know how much of it is that it's an actual rumor or just an idea that somebody came up with, was that you have the number one contender match, basically, and Harper wins. So Harper becomes number one contender for the WWE title against Bray Wyatt, and then Randy Orton says, oh, wait, no, screw that. I want the title shot now. So
That's
then you
so
have
stupid.
the whole Wyatt family battling. And then you have, well, will Randy Orton just do it to defend Bray Wyatt and make sure that he keeps the championship? Or he is a Viper, he could turn against you. He is this, generation's Jake the Snake Roberts without the promo skills.
Where does
he is kind of Jake, isn't he? Without the promo. I mean, he's got the out of nowhere finisher, and
well, he also doesn't have someone that's doing a documentary buying crack for him either.
Hashtag for now.
It's a case of, I feel like they're booking themselves in a circle to be like, oh no, this isn't going to happen. No, it is going to happen. Like, it's just tell the freaking story straight out. Everything doesn't have to be complicated with 30 layers. It's professional wrestling. Like, keep it simple.
I don't have a problem with it though. I have a problem with Luke Harper being out of the Wyatt family. It's just weird because he's just kind of like, he's just scrubby dude now, and
yeah,
it sucks because
they're gonna have to define a character for him.
He's a hell of a wrestler. I mean, he really is. Like, people have difficulty kind of looking past the goon aspect of him being like the lackey type thing. But I mean, he's a hell of a worker, and I mean, what do you do with him if he's not a member of the Wyatt family? He's not I guess he can cut a promo. Do you have him hang out with Dean Ambrose? I mean, I could see the two of them getting along, I guess,
That's an episode of Road Trip I want.
That's an episode of Total Divas I want.
Yes. Renee hangs out for the day with Dean and Luke. And they go to hang out in Arizona with or in Washington with Brian and Bree right after the baby's born. Done.
Yeah.
Got it.
Luke Harper and Daniel Bryan sharing beard tips, and yeah. And then eventually Eric Rowan has to come back. I mean,
yeah, that's my other thing. Like, he should be ready soon, in theory, if the timeline is still, we haven't heard much rumor about him. If the timeline fits, he's back any day now. And where does he fit into this? Is it going to be a fatal 4-way? Like, my thing is here, like, why didn't you just have Wyatt win the Rumble somehow? I just feel like they're making this the most convoluted storyline they've got right now.
It could pay off. I don't have a problem with it necessarily right now. I mean, because
we've got 7 weeks. I don't know. I'm getting all up in a tizzy about it.
And I wouldn't mind seeing a 3-way between those 3 guys, just because they're all strong workers, and just the uncertainty and everything. And if you do throw Rowan in there for whatever reason, and maybe bring him back just for that match where he kind of like ends up at ringside, who's he going to help, that type of thing, and that ends up spinning back around potentially. I don't know, but
if he comes back, he has to come back as the Ventnor.
Sure, why not?
It's the best character they ever had. For 2 weeks. Anyway, that's the WWE Championship picture after Elimination Chamber. But boy, are they working on setting up AJ versus Shane, or is it just me? That's my thought on it too. It's like, oh God, why? Like, I mean, it'll be a fine match. I'm not worried about it, but I'm like, really,
no,
we're gonna waste. It's gonna be fine. It'll be a fine match. Shane is fine.
It'll be passable because AJ's going to carry him so badly that like his spine's going to give out halfway during the match.
Jesus, yeah, and I agree with that 100%. My biggest issue is like, why the hell are you wasting AJ Styles here? Which, by the way, this whole thing, has been a rumor for a while. and kind of even more solidified as a rumor after talking smack when AJ goes on there and is yelling about, I still haven't had my one-on-one title shot that I was promised by Shane. Where is he? Why isn't he giving me my title shot? Blah, 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 blah. And so that whole chain of crap continues.
I don't understand. Now, Shane's not in the same position that he was 9 years ago, whatever the thing is. I mean, he is solely on-air talent. He's not, vice president or whatever of the company. He's a guy that they brought in basically to, soup up the brand and do whatever. So, and I thought him coming back got the cool pop, and then he wanted to do the ridiculous spot for the Undertaker match. So, he did that and tried to damn near kill himself. And, it's what Shane does. And, okay, well, he did that. And that advanced that helped the brand split. So be it. Mm-hmm. And he sat kind of in the background, and he shows up every once in a while because he's not an every week guy. He's just, oh, yeah, that's right, Shane, too. It's like Brian's the main guy that, pops up there. But now, here comes WrestleMania. It's like, oh yeah, right, Shane's here. He needs to stick himself in the match. It's almost like Vince was back then, where, I need to have my yearly ego stroke or whatever. And
my thing is this Shane McMahon match actually selling people on WrestleMania? Is the fact that Shane McMahon is in a match, and last year, sure, because it's the first time he'd been back in 9 years. But this year, is that selling network subscriptions? Is that selling tickets to the Citrus Bowl? Is that no, I don't think it is. I don't think anyone really cares to see Shane wrestle again, especially after Survivor Series when he got knocked out cold. What? Other than just being like, oh, he's a McMahon, we need a McMahon on the card, why the hell is this happening? There's no good reason, right? I'm not crazy to think that it's just happening because Vince is like, oh, goddamn, I have to put Shane on the card.
No, there is no reason for it. And the thing is, too, that Shane's whole gimmick has been for the last umpteen million years or whatever, that he does his ridiculous, stupid spot. Yep. He gets thrown off a building. He gets released German suplexed through a non-breaking piece of glass 7 times. He gets, he falls off a Titantron. He, does whatever. He does his giant spot that makes us go, oh, he should have been a stuntman. And then, he loses pretty much. Yeah.
Because that's my thing here is, that's going to have to happen.
There's no spot for him.
And that's my thing is they're like, knowing that this may happen, I'm like, okay, well, this is going to have to be a freaking gimmick match.
Yeah, it's got to be falls count anywhere or,
They won't do Hell in a Cell again. Hopefully.
No, God, no.
But,
can they? Because they're having it outdoors.
Because what was the Triple H Taker that last Hell in a Cell? It was at a Mania, and I think that was New York, New Jersey, and it was outdoors. And they built the structure they build over the ring. They can rig it in that.
That's so not worth it.
No, not for that. Hell no. But
yeah, it'll be like a Orlando street fight or something.
Great.
Hey, right. It's almost as good as a Raleigh street fight.
Yeah.
Which
wait.
AJ's going to be participating in, perhaps as a warm-up.
Oh, God, kill me. I don't want to see AJ Styles. I don't want to see best wrestler in the world, AJ Styles, in a freaking street fight. I want to see him in a 5-star classic. That's what I want to see, especially at something called WrestleMania. What is the point of this? Wrestling. Oh, yeah, that's right. Maybe he should just hit people with a chair.
And I was just thinking of people that don't seem to have a match necessarily set up, and they're all on Raw, so I don't...
Yeah, I was going to say, there's given the way the roster is on SmackDown right now, there's no one. Unless it's Finn.
Finn's on Raw.
But it could be cross promotion. Shh. Anyway, I can hope. Also coming out of Elimination Chamber, there's a new SmackDown Women's Champion, and her name's Naomi.
Sure, why not?
Literally my entire thought on it. Like, okay, we built this match up in 2 weeks, like not even 2 weeks, in a week. Went, oh, cool, okay, cool, new champ. Which I get. They want, like, Naomi's really good in front of the media. She's on Total Divas. Like, fine. I understand that you're building to WrestleMania. This is the show that is your biggest one of the year. You've got to build the media presence for it. She's a good person for that. But, I mean, I'm happy for her.
Hometown.
I know, exactly. And I'm happy for her. Don't get me wrong. Like, she is, I almost said serviceable in the ring. And I'm like, that sounds horrible. She's fine. She's a fine wrestler. There's not a bad women's wrestler that they have on the roster right now. But she's not that good. I'm sorry. No, but I'm in the scheme of the talent they have now. No, she's not. I'm not. I don't disagree with that. But she's not awful.
She is one of the better transition wrestlers, I guess I'll say, because you had the divas who couldn't wrestle at all, with the exception of Trish and Lita.
Right.
And then you kind of made this transition into the divas who we actually trained to wrestle. People like Naomi, people like the Bellas. And then they realized, oh, wait, we can actually develop these people or get them from Shimmer and,
right.
places like that, so we can get, Becky Lynch's, and realize that, oh, wait, Ric Flair's kid can wrestle too, and that type of thing. But
she's the women's champion. Becky's tied up with Mickie James. This Nikki and Natty thing is going through at least this coming week for this Falls Count Anywhere match. Like, I don't know what their end game for. I mean, she's going to carry the belt to Mania, obviously, which again makes sense from a marketing and media perspective, especially with it being her hometown. But my assumption is she gives that strap back up at Mania.
Yeah,
to who I don't know yet. Could be Alexa again, but I don't know.
6-woman tag match. Yeah. All right. Thing about Naomi that pisses me off, and it has nothing to do with her necessarily, or it has to do with, I guess, her training, or maybe she was behind it or whatever. I don't know. But so we seem to, I mean, I don't remember her doing it in the match, but we seem to have gotten rid of, what was it, that kick spot that she used to do?
Oh, the rapid kicks.
Yeah,
to the side. Yeah, thank God that's gone.
Made absolutely no sense. But she does a spot, and I think she's been doing it pretty much ever since I've seen her wrestle. Where like she it's either where the opponent's coming against her and it's off the ropes, or she just kind of does a charge and she hits people with her ass.
Oh, she calls it the rear view, Michael.
Oh, okay. So this move has always bothered me because
me too.
it sets us back again.
That's how I feel about it.
By us, I don't mean me, because I'm a white guy. Sorry. But every black wrestler for the last 50 years has used their butt as a weapon. There are two things that stereotypically black wrestlers do. They hit people with their giant asses, because apparently all black people have big butts, so we need to use that as a weapon. And you never send their head into a turnbuckle. but that is true of all non-white people, I think, because you can't, a Samoan or any kind of Islander type person, you can't send their head into the turnbuckle.
Oh, too hard.
No. Or you can't headbutt them or anything like that. And I hate the spot because it just, I look and I see like some of the moves that she does and it's great. Then she does the running butt pliers and it's like,
yeah,
no, you're not Iceman King Parsons.
Yeah, I'd never looked at that as an issue from the racial perspective, which now that you said it, I'm like, holy shit, you're right. But I looked at it as like none of the male superstars would ever do that. Like what? Well, I think Mojo Rawley doesn't, but we're really not going to put him in the superstar category, are we?
As I mentioned before, yeah, I'll get into Mojo later, but yeah, Iceman King Parsons used to do it, and that was the thing. But Iceman King Parsons was a giant stereotype. It sucks because
JYD used his ass too, right? Or was it a hip attack?
The man who literally had thump written on his ass.
Right.
Yeah, it's this. Wrestling, no matter how advanced and how progressive that they think that they are, there are still these old stereotypes that keep crawling back about effeminate male wrestlers and black wrestlers or not even necessarily black wrestlers, but non-white wrestlers, and it's just a reminder again, and again, Naomi seems to be fine with it. It's not like, Vince is yelling in the back going, why doesn't she use her ass more? But it's
that you know of.
That I know of, yeah. But it bothers me. It makes me feel dirty every time she does it. And it's great that she's got the title. And I think if somebody said it, that it's probably a title she should have won several years ago.
Yeah.
Back when, the division wasn't necessarily as strong and she was doing good work and she actually had momentum. She had no momentum going here. It's but what I do like, and I guess you could kind of roll off of this, is that WWE, at least on some level, seems to be doing the specific matchups seem to work. They made a big point of how Becky Lynch can't beat seemingly Alexa Bliss. Alexa Bliss keeps outsmarting her through whatever methods. She can't beat her. Right. But Becky can beat Naomi. That's no problem.
Mm-hmm.
She's beaten her before. Then it's just what happens. But Naomi, for whatever reason, can always beat Alexa Bliss. And that was the point that they brought going into this title match, was the fact that she's beaten her before. She's beaten her several times before. So that's why they have to give her the title shot. And sure enough, she beats her again. It's kind of like how they're kind of edging into this too with the whole Goldberg-Lesnar thing. The fact that it's believable that this monster Lesnar keeps getting beaten by 50-year-old Goldberg is because Goldberg just Lesnar can't psychologically figure out Goldberg. It's this type of thing where it's it doesn't necessarily have to make sense. There isn't number one is best, number two is better than everyone but number one. It's not a direct order. It's more of this rock, paper, scissors type thing. A can beat B, B can beat C, C beats A. So
right.
It's a different way to book. It's not a straight order of one is best, two is next, three is next after that. It's kind of a little bit different. So it keeps you at least thinking that, you know what, I know that this person isn't necessarily as high on the card as this person, But now I believe this person actually can win this match because anything can kind of happen. Because he might have his number.
Yeah. And I don't know where to go after that. I mean, you're right.
I just rambled. Maybe I've been drinking a little bit. I don't know.
It's okay. I did that last night. But let's see here. Yeah, so Naomi wins that. Nikki and Natty go to a double count out, leading to a Falls Count Anywhere match on Tuesday.
That's great for them.
Yeah, I'm fine. I saw a lot of people that were really down on that match, and I thought it was fine. I had no issue with it.
It was fine.
It was what it was. I care. I think it's because I watched Total Divas.
And again, I stress the fact that the biggest heel in that Elimination Chamber match was whoever the producer was that when Nikki came out and did her I'm going to rip my shirt off thing, does the wide pan and like zooms away. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, so there's that.
87% of the WWE universe just got really pissed off because that's what they fucking watched that match for.
Yep. Once the shirt rip happens, bathroom break.
Yep.
Even though Nikki
don't read too much into that bathroom break, by the way.
Even though Nikki has become a very good wrestler as of late, and I hope, I know the dirt sheets have been talking about her basically going part-time after Mania due to numbness she's having after her neck surgery last year and everything. I hope that's not true, even though I tend to believe it is. I hope it's not true because she's come quite a long way, and I actually look forward to her every week. And then Becky beat Mickie James on Sunday, and then Mickie beat Becky on Tuesday because 50-50 booking.
Which just eliminates the whole point that I was going through before, like, oh, nobody has anyone's number there, but...
Yeah. So I don't know what the deal is with that feud. I guess it's going to keep going. Again, there's 7 weeks to Mania still, which is why I think Elimination Chamber was way too early, but that's just me. But overall, Elimination Chamber was a good show. And then, what was the pre-show match that I didn't see?
Mojo Rawley defeated Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah, can you describe that in 5 words, please? And then we'll move on.
Mojo Rawley is this generation's Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
That's more than 5 words.
Not all those words counted.
Okay. Like the match, it didn't count.
Fine. Mojo Rawley is Jim Duggan.
There we go. Thank you. All right. Anyway, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that happened on SmackDown on Tuesday as a result of this. There were only 3 matches on SmackDown. The Triple Threat, the Ascension versus American Alpha. Oh, Tag Team Turmoil. We didn't cover that. American Alpha retained. Okay, cool. They beat everybody, so they have no contenders. That's real dumb booking.
I'll go on a rant in a different podcast.
That
match made me mad.
They've run through everyone. This is real dumb. Even though the Usos then cut a promo Tuesday night from what I assume was the back of one of the trailers they haul stuff around in with a light behind them saying, you should be scared of us. The end.
Hey, I've got an idea. We've got a bunch of established tag teams, but let's have Heath Slater and Rhino go over all of them. That's a good idea.
Yeah, the SmackDown tag team division's been awful from the start, which they needed to tell the Heath Slater story, and that was fine. And you know what? It was perfect for the brand split and everything. But since then, it's been awful.
And they were going to break up. They did the whole thing on Talking Smack, how they were going to break up. And then, it's like...
You know why they didn't break up? Because Rhino didn't win his election. Period. End of story. Because what was the timing on that?
So
mid-October, late October.
But why did we need Rhino in the first place?
I don't know. Anyway, the tag team division on SmackDown is shit. Period. Not because of the performers, but
it's being booked as shit.
Correct. Anyway.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. Monday Night Raw. The main event was the women's championship match.
Because women always have main events on Raw.
Right. And since it was Monday Night Raw, Charlotte lost the title to Bayley, but I'm sure she'll get it back at Fastlane.
Because
that's a pay-per-view.
In front of a computer and actually see what Charlotte's actual record is on Raw. I'm curious. It's got to be like 2-17 at this point.
Fill time talking about this, and I'll pull it up on ProFightDB. Hold on. Fill time talking about this match.
I mean, it was a strong match. Not to reference Meltzer or anything like that, but I will. He gave it 4.25 stars, which supposedly is his highest women's match rating, non-NXT in forever or whatever. And it's the two of them have been booked halfway decently. Bayley has days, where she'll be great one day and just completely, seemingly lost the next. Charlotte maintains. Charlotte's going to give you the same thing night in, night out nowadays.
She's so good.
Great. And I mean, it should work extremely well with Bayley because Bayley's such a babyface and Charlotte's such a bitch. So it should work, but I mean,
okay.
And Monday night we had what we were supposed to have. I mean, what they've been envisioning for those two, where we actually had the drama, but we also had the screw job ending. We had Dana Brooke running in for Dana Brooke escaping her hole or main event or whatever it is that they keep Dana Brooke in nowadays. To run in for no particular reason except, oh shit, that's right, I remember I'm her friend, maybe I forgot, I don't know. And then it just basically an excuse to have Sasha run out to play face again, even though she was supposedly pissed off at Bayley and they had those seeds going there as she was getting wrapped up on the table a couple of weeks ago from physical therapy or whatever and got pissed off at Bayley. But apparently they're all buds again because we forgot about that and we said, oh shit, we want to give Bayley the belt this week. But
okay, I have these stats that I'm trying to figure out exactly.
Good, because I was running out of stuff to ramble
about.
There
you go, good. So non-pay-per-view, and it doesn't break them down into NXT versus WWE. Or versus main roster, but I can probably do that math. She's 223, 151, and 7 all time on TV.
Yeah, that's a lot of matches.
Jesus, right? God damn. She's still okay, but we know she's 18-0 on pay-per-view in WWE or whatever. Anyway, she loses on TV a lot. And she wins on pay-per-view all the time. So my assumption is she wins this belt back at Fastlane and finally has the streak broken at Mania, right?
I don't know anymore now.
That becomes the story going into Mania is like, oh, the streak. Oh, my God. We're going to call it the streak, aren't we? Damn it. Her pay-per-view streak is so good. Now she's coming back into Mania as the champ, and we know how she does. Blah, 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 blah. Bayley goes over. Or Sasha, whoever.
I assume Charlotte loses to Brock Lesnar.
Oh, my God. I want to see that match.
You would.
I do.
I don't know now. I mean, because there was... I could have seen the momentum going there and kind of drawing this out a little bit more. Charlotte is champion. Charlotte's great. And build it up to Bayley fighting back, kind of losing a few more matches, have her lose to Nia Jax, have her lose potentially to Dana Brooke, I don't know, and just get frustrated and then, I don't know, maybe she meets up with somebody else or she starts I guess it's too long to kind of do that build back to kind of get her confidence back and take, to have her win the title at Mania. But
No, I firmly think they keep this storyline of her being undefeated on pay-per-view going to Mania because that's all they talk about.
But like, what I'd also saw somebody recommend, and I kind of like this idea, was that so Bayley wins the title, but how did Bayley win the title? With outside interference. Charlotte has been one to use a lawyer or two to review matches and maybe get little Nate out, I don't know, and overturn match results. So could we see Raw next week have Charlotte out front with her lawyer bringing out Bayley with the belt, and Mick Foley has to take the belt away from Bayley because upon further review, the outside interference from Sasha gets Bayley disqualified.
Yeah, that's a thing. That could do that. They already did it with Bayley once. I'm like, but it could happen. I could see them doing it again.
And again, it's the frustration from Bayley.
And Bayley's character works best from that position.
Yeah.
So.
Because she's being screwed over. It's a technicality. Mick turns around and, yells for some reason, and I don't know. Yeah. But I think that's the way to kind of say it, that it looked cool, it got the cool pop, as much as Bayley loves Dusty, I don't want the Dusty finish for that. And that's solely what that is. That is a Dusty finish. Send everybody home thinking that they won the title, and next week you turn around and you realize, but actually, Tommy Young wakes up and realizes, no, it's Rick's title.
Yeah. So the only other big thing from Raw Monday night, because I didn't see it per work, was the saddest moment in WWE history. Kevin Owens has turned on Chris Jericho during the Festival of the Friendship. He destroyed the Jerichon 6000. He destroyed the creation picture that Jericho gifted him of Owens and Jericho, where Jericho was not wearing any pants, as Owens was one to point out. But he turned on Jericho. He went double heel. That was real heartbreaking, Tom.
The saddest moment in WWE history, as by you.
I think so.
Because
the best friends broke up.
Owen Hart died, but
we didn't see that.
We didn't?
No, I know the tape exists somewhere, but until I get to Stanford and break it out of the vault, no one's gonna see it.
Okay, fine. Jim Ross had to tell us that Owen Hart was dead.
Meh.
Then the following day, Mark Henry got to read us poetry while crying hysterically.
Yeah, but this was the best friends breaking up.
Sorry, the Mark Henry thing was the thing. I watched that Owen is Raw, and it was tough on me because I was a huge Owen Hart mark, and I still am to this day.
Yeah.
And everything, just to see Jeff Jarrett breakdown was tough for me because he and Owen were tight, and Deborah broke down. A lot of people broke down but to see Mark Henry, and Mark Henry wrote this poem. I don't know if you've seen Owen is Raw, but
yep.
Mark Henry wrote this poem, and he could barely get through it, and it was just the most. It was the simplest and most heartfelt thing, and just to see this huge monster of a man just completely breaking down, it was heartbreaking. But now that I'm incredibly depressed,
I was gonna say Owen is dead and their friendship is too.
Yeah, but yeah, it was.
This was the greatest segment they've pulled off in a very long time. So well structured, had the right amount of comedy. The beat down was brutal. It was so good.
It was a hell of a moment. it was a, Marty Jannetty going through the barbershop window moment. It was...
I was going to say, we haven't had that kind of moment since Seth hit Roman in the back with the chair when he turned on the Shield.
Yeah, I'll go with that. Yeah, definitely. And,
So good.
it was... And I know there had been talk about potentially Owens going face and going against a heel Jericho, but this is the right move.
Yep, I like this way better.
Owens is an incredible heel. I mean, watch the man on Twitter. He is a dickish heel, and it's where he's comfortable. It's what he is excellent at, and he will shoot you smarks down and do it with glee, and it's where he belongs.
So here's the only negative coming out on this, and I'm going to move on because we're starting to run short on time.
Yeah.
Without Jericho, he's dropping this belt to Goldberg, isn't he?
Yep.
Oh, God help me. Anyway, that's my entire comment on that.
Yeah, I've got nothing else, and it's I'm just gonna let that go because
Did I miss anything else on Raw this week? I feel like those Bayley winning the title and the Festival of Friendship were the two big things. I don't think I missed anything else wrestling wise this week.
Not really. I mean, I burned through most of it relatively quickly on the DVR, and nothing really stood out that much to me. There was some Cesaro. Do they have a name for that team? The Cesaro Sheamus thing?
No.
They went up against Enzo and Cass, and maybe there's some future there. I don't know.
That's your Mania match.
New Day did some things that, sold more T-shirts, and then that was pretty much that. It wasn't all that
They're killing
striking.
Time. They're killing time for 2 weeks until they go home to Fastlane.
Yep.
Also, there was no Goldberg or Lesnar on this show, so
nope.
That kind of kills your momentum there too.
Just looked on WWE Shop. The poster of Half Naked Jericho and Owens is still not here.
No, give me that. I need it framed immediately. I have a quick editorial I need to do before we do the 10 count, Tom.
Okay.
I know that I'm speaking to fans right now. People at live events, people at TV, people at pay-per-views, listen to me. Just listen. I know it's fun to chant things. I know it's fun to yell shit so that you can be heard on TV. But I swear to God, if I hear any more of you fucking yelling 10, 10, 10, whenever the referee's counting or anyone's counting, I will find you because it's not funny anymore. It's annoying. It's distracting. You're not helping the wrestlers in the ring get over, which is what you're there to do. Stop it. Also, stop chanting "you deserve it" to a heel, because that's fucked up. Because they don't deserve it, because they're a heel. Bray Wyatt. And on to the 10 count. 10 things.
I was trying to think of a way to disagree with you, but I can't really.
Oh, God, I'm so over that yelling 10 thing. I can't wait. It's making me hate Ty Dillinger, and it's making me get so excited for when he finally gets called up and gets just freaking Tyler Breeze buried into obscurity. I can't wait.
But he's going to win that first match, and then everyone's going to chant, "You deserve it."
Oh, God, no.
Because everyone deserves everything.
I mean, I just hate that chant in general. Because, they won the match. Yeah, therefore they deserve to win the title. Thanks, Captain Obvious, number 1 through 15,000. Anyway, the 10 count are 10 things you might have missed in professional wrestling this week that we have conveniently rounded up for you. And we're going to spend like 10 seconds on each of them, which is an estimate. Number 1, Brock Lesnar notified the UFC that he is retiring from MMA. Therefore, he's no longer subject to the USADA testing, and in that pool, that would put the 5-month suspension he has still left on hold in case he ever came back, at which point he'd be back on suspension. But Brock has retired from MMA, and I'm pretty sure that means he's done. For good.
Yeah, I mean, he was done beforehand, and he just saw a big paycheck, and WWE said, "Oh, great, we got a little cross promotional thing," and then. Yeah, that's all that was meant to be anyway. Even if he had passed all of his drug tests and done the one match, it was going to be for one match.
Yeah. Linda McMahon was confirmed as the head of the Small Business Administration, and there's a real creepy photo of all the McMahons in the White House.
But there is a great quote about it where somebody tweeted that photo and said, Stone Cold Steve Austin has stunnered 46% of the people in this photo.
That's good.
Because the rest of them are like random children.
Yeah. Since we last met, New Japan ran their New Beginning shows. Two main events, the Naito Elgin match and the Okada Suzuki match, which are the only two matches I've seen from those shows, were incredible. So
Elgin
find them on NJPW World.
Elgin is like he's fascinating to watch because he's a big guy. I mean, if anybody is listening that hasn't like seen New Japan or like Ring of Honor or stuff like that, find some Elgin matches because he is just probably he's the best big man around, I think, right now wrestling, just with his style and everything. He's just a lot of fun to watch.
Yep. Rosa Mendez announced on Instagram that she has retired from professional wrestling.
Oh no.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I don't think I've ever seen a Rosa Mendez match.
Maybe one ever. Teddy Long and the Rock and Roll Express are the two newest, or three newest, however you want to look at it, inductees into the WWE Hall of Fame at WrestleMania weekend this year. Rock and Roll Express, very well deserved. Teddy Long, sure, I'm fine with it.
It's a lifetime achievement award. The guy's been in the business forever. I mean, from being a referee for Crockett to being a manager. I mean, he was the Crockett version of Danny Davis, and then ended up being a manager for like Norman the Lunatic and all kinds of other people, and just he managed some of the worst wrestlers in the Nitro era. Like if you had a media like Jim Powers, he was Jim Powers' manager. That shows you how bad it was. But then he kind of resurrected himself in the WWE. But I mean, he's been around forever and
was a solid referee. Was a very good GM, entertaining.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's a nice enough guy, so good for him.
Yeah,
and I love the Rock and Roll Express.
Yeah,
I grew up a Rock and Roll Express mark, so
excited for that. Chavo Classic, Chavo Guerrero Sr. passed away at the age of 68 last week,
which is sad and should be mentioned. I always would get him confused with Hector, just because I'm racist apparently. But I mean, I would see them wrestle sometimes in World Class, and I mean, they're not the wrestlers that their children ended up being. I mean, just to change styles. I mean, new eras bring things, but I mean, you see some of the work that they do, and I mean, their mat work was excellent. I mean, it's just an entire wrestling family. It's just fascinating to watch all those guys.
Mm-hmm. The Rock's production company is making a movie about Paige's family and being in wrestling. So that sounds interesting.
I mean, Paige is writing even now. I mean, like, it was an interesting enough story where, it's like mom's a wrestler and then her, daughter becomes a wrestler and starts wrestling at age 15 or whatever.
Something like that, 14 or 15.
But now you've got a whole total second story with the whole Del Rio crap. So yeah, I mean, they'll make it into something interesting.
Oh, sure. WWE released its 2016 full year financials. Revenue, this is real basic breaking it down. You can read it online if you want the exact stuff. Revenue and profit were up comparatively. Network subscribers were also up comparatively. And during the conference call Q&A, Vince did mention 205 Live and the UK becoming their own touring brands, which I think 205 Live being its own touring brand, they're going to have to put that in some small venues.
Yeah, I mean, But that's what it should be in the first place. I mean, and I would love for those. I mean, you're not going to have 205 live and things like that. You're going to have to take out the live eventually. I'm sorry. It's got to take that out eventually, and it's going to make it a so much better product to actually get like crowds into it. That's what made the Cruiserweight Classic awesome. As much as we hate chants and things like that, when you actually have a good crowd that's actually watching and knows how to respond to people and let those guys work the way that they need to, then it's going to be a much better product. So hopefully they're going to get in front of the smaller crowds. They're going to do well, and maybe we'll see a change in the actual television product.
Impact Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Noah have announced a partnership. Two dying companies.
I was going to say, that would have been awesome news in like 2006. Right. I would have marked out for that in 2006.
Cool, they can go down together. Awesome. And then WWE.com released a video, I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday, but it's a new series they're going to be doing called My Either Son or Daughter is a WWE Superstar, and it's like a mini documentary, and this first one was about Finn Balor. And it interviewed his parents, and that was really cool. And they actually used footage several times that said courtesy of WWE 24 coming soon. So I guess there's going to be a 24 about his injury and recovery coming up.
And those things are always well done. So it's just so much fun to watch. I mean, when WWE actually puts its like cameras together and does some kind of package like that, it's always well done. So I mean, they're almost NFL films, like the way they kind of put that stuff together. Yep. So
and the My Son is a WWE Superstar one was really cool. I watched it this afternoon. I was like, oh
yeah, it's nice to get that into. I mean, they've kind of toyed with that before, about like, especially with like Sasha and Bayley, and kind of seeing their old like their old papers about how they wanted to be WWE wrestlers and that type of thing, and just kind of looking back onto that. And it's just, it's people like that. People get into it. So it makes them more real.
For sure. Any final thoughts for the people at home, Tom?
I can't think of anything. I'm just still absorbing in your rant about the chants, and I'm surprised you didn't mention anything about the Bayley chant that I hate so much.
See, oh God, this could be a podcast on its own. Just me yelling about that for an hour.
It'll be right after me yelling about SmackDown Live's tag division podcast.
The European football style chants are fine.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, what you're referring to with the Bayley. I have no issue with that because you're chanting for a wrestler. Just the needless yelling of 10 or you deserve it or this is awesome every time someone kicks out is just complete and utter bullshit and ruins the match. I'm sorry.
Nah, I have an issue with the Bayley chant because the Bayley chant is the we want some Bayley.
Oh, I know. Okay, I know what you're getting at now. Yes, I also have an issue with that.
Is derived from something else.
It's derived from we want some pussy. We can say it. We're unedited.
So anyway.
Tom, where can the people find you on the internet?
Check me out at Mr. Workrate, MR Workrate. You can find me on Facebook, but I won't friend you because I don't know you. Or if I do, then I probably won't. Don't worry, I don't update that thing as well. I have Instagram, also at Mr. Workrate, which I barely update, but I'll send pictures of baked goods every once in a while. I have a Snapchat account. Again, all these are at Mr. Workrate, but I'm old, so Snapchat is shocking and confusing to me, so I'm lost. But yeah, generally, if you just put in Mr. Workrate, you can generally find me on whatever medium that you need to find me on.
All right. I'm on Snapchat, Instagram, and most importantly, and most used Twitter at JCBobbitt, JCBobbitt. You can find me there. You can find this podcast on Twitter at Cheaters Never Pin, Cheaters in VR Pin. You can also find us on Facebook. And you can also download and listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and stream us on Spreaker. And give us a rate, review, and subscribe, because that's how we climb up the charts, all 10 of you that are listening. Thank you.
I always think that you're saying it wrong, but it is Spreaker.
It is Spreaker.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, that does it for another week of Cheaters Never Pin. Thank you for dealing with us not being here last week. But sometimes life is more important than a podcast where I sit and yell about people yelling things into my TV.
But just sometimes.
Just sometimes. So anyway, I'm JC.
I'm Tom.
And we're all done. Have a good night.